so fun.
I totally liked it.
It was just fun for us. Hi, everybody.
Something different. We had a countdown. I'm Tiffany, Modern Mystic. This is Shayne with Terrestrial Vibes, and we're here for, I know, right? We're backwards.
Which way? We're backwards today.
We're here for our Friday night spiritual Q&A, where you ask spiritual questions and we do our best to answer them. And a little bit about Shayne and myself. I'm a modern mystic. Hey, no, I'm an intuitive empath, a psychic medium. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I teach psychic development classes, Reiki mentoring classes, Reiki certification classes, you name it. And my original background is in teaching. And so whenever I started transitioning more into walking a spiritual path, I started to find ways that my background in teaching could help benefit others. And part of the reasons why we're here. Shayne is also a teacher in 3D. So he's got a background.
We have that teacher background, and I don't know.
I know.
that need to help everybody, I think, is there as well, right?
Absolutely.
I'm just sharing this out. Sorry. So if I'm distracted, that's what I'm doing. If I could implore everybody else to as well share this out, that would help a lot, because sharing is caring, and it helps us reach more people.
Exactly. We appreciate y'all. And Shayne, you want me to introduce you a little bit, or you want to introduce you?
I can do myself, I guess. So my name is Shayne, obviously, and my page is called Terrestrial Vibes. On there, you can find me doing all sorts of things, from crystal singing bowl sound baths to energy healing to teaching meditation and other things about spirituality. And that's basically how I met Tiffany in the beginning, anyways, is through Facebook. And here we are doing Facebook lives together a year later. Martine says you look stunning, and I have to agree.
Aw, thank you, beautiful.
So a little bit about me. I am a exorcist, so I take what is not of the highest good and remove it from places it's not supposed to be. So that's basically how I've kind of grown into this spiritual job, I guess you'd call it, or speciality over the years, and through learning all the different kind of things spirituality has to offer in our modern kind of new agey world, where you are able now on Facebook to tap into so many things, like from witches to Kundalini, Reiki, to everything, right? So I learned Pranic Healing, I learned Qigong, I learned Reiki healing, and then through my own practice have just kind of had it all come together, I guess. It's hard to say. I don't know.
It's like it comes full circle.
And then, as Tiffany mentioned, the 3D job was kind of teaching, so why not apply that to the spiritual side of things as well? And so we are here tonight to answer your spiritual questions. And we're not doing mediumship readings. Sorry to anybody who is asking for mediumship readings. We're actually answering in more of an educational way tonight. So this is for you guys to ask your spiritual questions about anything that you can come up with, from, like I mentioned before, witches to Kundalini to we can talk about the topics go all over the place. All the clairs, like your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, all those things. We have a lot of information over a long time span to draw from, and we hope to answer those questions for you guys tonight. Tiffany, are you done sharing?
I am. I shared it out to all the chats.
Cool. I still got a couple more to go here.
So while you're doing that, let's see, where's everybody from?
Yeah, it's nice to hear where everybody's from, for sure.
Let's see here. If y'all are coming to view us from one of our groups, we're not able to see your name and your picture. So if you go to either Terrestrial Vibes business page or Modern Mystic, then it will show up with your name. So that way we'll be able to see who you are. Otherwise, it's just a Facebook user. Hi, Anna. Tiffany, I love you. Anna, for card readings, mediumship readings, stuff like that, you can message me and we can work out something. Hi, beautiful Audrey. And thank you, Anna. I appreciate you. Hi, Paola.
Hello, everybody.
We've got Elizabeth. Nicole, that's a good question. I will get right back to you. Christine, beautiful question as well.
Hi, Deb. I see Deb is joining us from the YouTube. Hello, everybody joining from YouTube as well. If you don't know, Tiffany and I also on YouTube, and we're growing. We're small, but we're growing. And would love if you guys went over there and subscribed as well.
Mine's really small. Shayne's is like doing way better.
but your TikTok is now much bigger.
Yes, my TikTok does pretty good. Yeah, we're in all the places, y'all. So if you want to find us, you can always click on our link tree. It's up in the banner, and then it's also pinned in the comments, and it's also in the description. So we're easy to find. We're not hiding anywhere. You can always find us. Oh wow, we've got the Philippines, we've got India, we've got all over the United States. We've got Nicole in London, and thank you.
Wow, London. It's late in London.
Let's see here. User number 5, Paola. There we go. Take care of that. All right. Healing from the Heartland. I think that's Martine,
that's
right?
Deb. That's our friend Deb. Martine.
Thank you, Paola. I appreciate it. I went magenta and wild orchid this time.
So we got our first question here from Audrey, who joined us last week. Welcome back, Audrey. How are you doing tonight, Tiffany?
Doing beautiful.
I am also doing wonderful tonight. I am a little tired, but I am okay, and I'm still raring to go on helping you guys learn a little bit tonight. So let's find our first question, and this one's a good question, actually, Christine. So thank you for your question. Tiffany, how many spiritual guides does each person have? It varies.
It varies. It's depending on the person. Most people incarnate, from what I've seen and experienced, most people incarnate with at least 2 guardian angels, or what I would consider like a guardian angel. We also have spirit guides, and we have like a master teacher guide as well, and a healer guide, and we have ancestors that come back and assist us along the way too. So it does vary. It appears that those that are walking more of an awakening path start to build up or start to gather more guides along the way. And I forgot animal guides, because we do have animal spirit guides too.
Animal spirits, yep.
So it's like everything from like 2 to like a room full.
You have as many as you need.
Good answer.
Some of us might need a few extra.
I definitely must need a lot.
Definitely, you could vary. It definitely could vary for person to person. So
it depends on what you need, and it depends on what we've incarnated for. So it's kind of like, what is your life path, your life purpose? Are you a light worker? Are you empathic? Are you a starseed? If you're a starseed, then you probably have some starseed guides as well that come to assist you here. So it's kind of like each of us are so unique in our blueprint that it's where the universe and our guides come in to assist us based on our own blueprint. And it also changes. So it's like we all have like a foundational like certain, angels, guardian angels, spirit guides. But then as we advance and as we grow more and more, we start to gain more in our team, and our team can get quite large.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes we can even borrow from other teams.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, like when we call it archangel. When we're calling on archangels, we are calling on that universal frequency, that universal light that comes in as that archangel. And same thing as, calling in on different spirit guides or spirit animals. That's where they can serve and work with more than one person.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Good answer, Tiffany.
Yeah. And I saw another one up here. I saw one about how do you know that you have psychic powers?
So that would have been a nice follow-up question. So where does that question? I'll just search for it. You start answering.
It's from Nicole. And when it comes to psychic abilities, I typically refrain from calling them like psychic powers because for so many, it is just a very natural phenomenon that we oftentimes are born with, and then we shut it down as we are assimilating into society. So if you think back to your early childhood experiences, a lot of us that are empaths, we were born empaths. It's just that we taught to shut down that specific ability within ourselves to a certain degree because we were so sensitive, because we were trying to fit into like a school system or being told by those around us that we were too sensitive. It wasn't necessarily embraced or taught as something that we needed to, grow within our lives. Now, if those abilities are nurtured, then those abilities can remain with that child, and that child can continue to grow it. And it's where understanding that there are different kinds of psychic abilities and understanding the different clair abilities. So that would be the clear seeing abilities like clairvoyance, claircognizance, which is clear knowing, clair empathy, which is clear feeling, clair sentience, which goes along with clair empathy for a lot, like a clear feeling as well, and clair audience, which is clear hearing. Then there's like a clear smelling, a clear tasting, and there's some kind of offshoots from those. But those are the main ones. And then asking yourself those questions, like, well, did this happen to me? Do I ever, hear something like my name being called, but there's nobody there? Well, in that case, that might be a sign of clairaudience. Or did I see auras? Or do I see auras? That would be clairvoyance. So understanding the different kinds of abilities and then learning which ones you have and learning how to work with them and strengthen them is the best way to know.
True.
You're still sharing?
No, I'm done. I'm done sharing. How would I know if I had psychic powers? A lot of things like synchronicity start happening. Things like you get messages, like something on the radio says, a message to you about like, hey, you should, do some sort of exercise or something, and then you end up driving past the exact same spot where they were talking about, and you're like, wait a minute, the timing is just too much. And then there's license plates that say 111 in front of you, and things are like pointing, and they're like arrow signs, and these are your, let's going back to guides and spirit helpers trying to point things in the right direction to say, hey, if you start tapping and you start listening to what's going on around you, and you start listening to what's going on inside of you, and you're doing both, you're going to start to develop your psychic powers anyways, because you're aware of it. You start to become aware of it. And I think the awareness of it is the start. So Tiffany mentioned get the knowledge as well, so you know what you're looking for, or at least you know what it's kind of supposed to be. Because it is going to be a little bit different for everybody. And everybody has a little bit of a different way that they get their messages. So, and that's, I think, as unique as the people are on the planet, there's always like a different vibration that comes along with us, and a different vibration that spirit needs to use to connect with us.
Well, and that goes along with like there is differences So very fine differences, but there's differences with like being intuitive or being psychic or being a mediumship or being a channeler. And those are all kind of flavors and branches that shoot off of the base psychic abilities. And then it goes even further to where you have some who would be like the mediumship for angelics or for spirit guides, while others are a mediumship more for our ancestors who are crossed over. So, and that's where learning the base foundation is the best way to start, and then start branching out to figure out which ones really fit you. And if you're asking that question, I would say you definitely need to delve into it. In my group, Modern Mystic, there's a section called Guides. And in that section, and that section is a total nerd. And I put tons of articles in there. And there's a whole unit on psychic development that'll walk you through every single one. And it'll ask you questions. It'll give you characteristics of each one, what to look for in yourself, what you can do to grow that ability. And another thing is learning the foundation, going along with what it means to shield and ground, because those are so important when we're sensitive, is learning the basics of transmuting and discernment. So these are all words that we kind of throw around, and learning what they mean and that terminology will help you as well.
Sometimes you need a glossary of terms to get through it.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what? Something I didn't mention. I'm a firm believer that it is part of the human experience for us all to have a natural sixth sense. So it is part of our wiring, our human experience of being a spirit within a human vessel, to have those type of gut feelings or instincts or intuition or a knowing and then we take that next step, and that's when the intuition can turn into more of a psychic ability.
So this question ties into that as well, and it comes from a Facebook user. We don't know your name, sorry. But if you join us on one of our pages, either Modern Mystic or Terrestrial Vibes, you'll be able to find the feed there, or even on the YouTube, find the feed there, and you'll be able to type, and we'll be able to see your name in the chat. But thank you for this question. Unless you don't want your name in the chat, then hey, this is a good way to stay anonymous. So I've always felt energies others have not, like people that have passed on. So once again, your clairsentience or your claircognizance. I have been told that this is a form of spirituality. So it's a form of
mediumship,
and in the old days, in like the 1800s, they called it spiritualism. Spiritualism, absolutely. Spiritualist. You would be a spiritualist or a spiritualism practitioner, I guess. And yeah, that was mediumship, what we call it now, which would be connecting with spirits that have passed through the veil, right?
And it is still called spiritualist in a lot of circles. Like Shayne said, a lot of that started more in the Victorian era. And there actually are spiritualist churches. And there are spiritualist communities out there where they do work very much within their psychic abilities. They do work within the spirit realm of working with deceased or working with angelics or guides. And I've never been to one. I've always wanted to go. There's one in New York called Lilydale. And that one is a very well-known spiritualist community here in the States. And so I would say if you are feeling the energies of those that have passed on, that definitely is something that you need to grow, and something that you can learn to enhance and learn to empower. I mean, that's a gift. So work with it, grow those muscles and practice with it. Always, though, in safety and protection. So that's another thing, is just learning, the spirit world is a very large ocean out there. And so we never want to, suggest to anybody, just to willy-nilly, go out there and just talk to whatever, because you don't know what's
Yeah.
going through. So that's where learning the basics of like mediumship is something that I would highly recommend.
Yeah, I think definitely heading over to Tiffany's group, Modern Mystic. She has so much information there. It's well organized. Probably one of the best organized spiritual. I say it every week, don't I? Or every time we do this.
I love it.
The best spiritual group going for learning, because she has it all organized, because she's a teacher and she knew how to do all that. So she took advantage of all the Facebook tools and put some time and effort into the group. So it's worth joining. You can find the groups and all the other links to Tiffany's stuff in her link tree that is tickering across the bottom ticker tape, or in the description of this video. There should be a link that you can actually click. And yeah, you should
There's
be
a
a link.
whole section in guides over mediumship and spirit communication.
So head over to her group for that. Did we answer that question? Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nicole's question was first. I'm sorry, Nicole.
We got her. Hi, Shell.
But we got you.
Nicole, she was like, my question was first. Sorry.
Tiffany Egbert, hello. What is your favorite crystal to work with and why?
I'll let you go, Shayne. You got your like sitting right there in front of you.
There's so many. I actually just did a bunch of videos on my 5 favorite crystals, but so I like probably clear quartz is probably my favorite altogether, because it just does everything I want it to do, and I have lots of it. It's universal. And it's so clear and like pristine and like, I don't know. Yeah. And then I don't know. For healing wise and doing things like that, I like the clear quartz. But I've been known to use pretty much every crystal that we have in the house to do stuff. So everything gets used eventually. I sleep with this. This is my kind of like my orb or my rock. So that's an apatite. So that's probably one of my favorites too.
I think that apatite is secretly his favorite.
The apatite? It's like your best friend, that one. That's like my best friend rock.
It went staticky.
Did it?
Uh-huh.
Weird.
Robotic.
Why'd it do that?
Yeah, I don't know why it does that. It did it when Shell and I did our live the other night too.
Just do a little smudging. We'll clear those energies out of the internet.
I can't understand you.
Really? I see it coming through fine for me. I don't know what about everybody else.
Can you all understand, Shayne? Oh, you need to raise yourself, Shayne.
I see that now, yeah. Let me see if I can go up higher. Oh, that's as high as I go, so let me do the other way.
Oh, there, now it's turning up. All right, so Tiff, I have a few of my favorite crystals in front of me. I am kind of a crystal connoisseur. So I would say probably first and foremost that I've always been drawn to is labradorite. Labradorite is such a beautiful crystal to work with, especially if you are an intuitive. It helps with auric work, it helps with dream work. It is just an all-around gorgeous crystal. Another one that I really love is tourmalated quartz, because it has two of my favorites, black tourmaline and clear quartz in it. And it's great for transmuting energy. It's great for helping your environment to feel more positive and uplifting. Ever since I was a kid, I have collected amethyst. And
amethyst is nice.
This is a big old hunk of amethyst. This is Siberian amethyst. It's called a dragon's tooth.
Nice.
I have amethyst all over my house in the form of geodes to spheres to you name it. Another really great one is rhodonite. This one is wonderful for heart work and being able to really heal a lot of traumas that we've been through. It's really great for empowering yourself. I sleep with some next to my bed. Celestite, also known as angelite. This one is a super high vibrational crystal. And if you work with angels, if you work with spirit guides, if you are a medium, you got to get you some angelite or celestite. And then for me, golden healer, because I have multiple autoimmune diseases. And so golden healer is a perfect crystal to help with inflammation and physical ailments. Oh, I forgot iolite. Iolite is great for third eye.
You forgot 20,000 different crystals that are super awesome.
Well, those are the ones that I have right in front of me, y'all.
For heart work, you mentioned heart work with the rhodonite. I like rose quartz for that.
Yes,
rose quartz. Heart work with rose quartz. So I don't think we should talk about crystals without mentioning rose quartz, because I think everybody should have some rose quartz, especially like in the bath or in the bathroom or somewhere on your altar.
Selenite.
Great for healing too. And selenite. I got some right here.
There, I was looking for mine. Selenite. It cleanses, clears, charges all your crystals.
Doesn't have to be cleared itself.
Yeah, it is self-clearing. My pendulum that I'm looking for right now, which I think is in my bedroom, it is a selenite pendulum, and so it's always charged and cleared.
All right.
Yes, amethyst, celestite. Oh no, Tiffany said she's working on a labradorite for me, and it dropped and smashed.
Oh. That wasn't the right one for you then.
It wasn't the right one.
Celeste says she agrees with me. Rose quartz everywhere.
Rose quartz. I've got it all over my house too.
That's where I learned about rose quartz, was from Celeste. So
we have got.
There was a question right under that question. Oh, there we are. Audrey had another question. And it's an interesting question.
I'm trying to figure out Love, Hope, Hope's question.
Where?
I don't know. It's... I don't
Sounds
understand.
like she's asking if she's with the right person. So that's a mediumship question. And if you'd like a mediumship reading with Tiffany, Tiffany does wonderful mediumship readings and Lenormand readings and tarot readings and things, but she is super wonderful at it. And you can catch her doing live as well throughout the week. She might even be live tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going live tomorrow. And I think I saw Sunday say hi. I love you, Sunday.
Hi, Sunday.
I will message you.
What do you think about different dimensions? Do you think it is possible that fairies, elves, Bigfoot, and any other mythical creatures may come from other dimensions? For sure, yes.
Yeah.
I think there's some times in history where the veil has been thinner and these dimensions have been more easily crossed between, and I always call it the veil, right? The whatever's in between us and other dimensions.
It's like you could call it a membrane, you could call it a veil, you could call it, I call it the veil as well. And it's just where sometimes the dimensions were a lot closer and a lot easier to cross over and access and past human existence. I mean, if we think about it, think about where fairies come from. The idea of fae in Summerland comes from the Celtic and Welsh people. Well, during that time period, fae and you name it were very real to these people, and we have to wonder why.
Same with dragons.
Oh, absolutely.
Unicorns, dragons.
Unicorns.
I mean, nowadays we have dolphins.
Dude, I have a theory. Dolphins, I love it.
I think dolphins are a mythical creature. I just think, I think they're amazing.
Well, even think about Bigfoot. Our modern day stories that go all the way back to some ancient indigenous cultures with Sasquatch. How do we know that is not actually an interdimensional type of being that is slipping through some kind of portal or veil into our realm and then popping back over? That's why they're so elusive.
Could be. I don't know about the Loch Ness Monster, though. I think that might be just an old dinosaur.
Could be. Or it's an old dinosaur and the story...
Or it's an old dragon.
Or
a
water dragon.
There you go. We figured it out. Tell the world.
The story of Nessie. Brought to you by Shayne and Tiff.
Mm-hmm. And Ogopogo. Don't forget about Ogopogo.
Which one's Ogopogo?
That's the Canadian Nessie. We have Ogopogo in Lake Okanagan in British Columbia.
Nice.
Yeah. You're never late to the party, Sabrina, just so you know. You're
Absolutely.
Just being fashionable, that's all.
I'm always fashionable.
So, I'm scrolling for the next question.
I'm always late. Let's see, Teresa. Paola, that's really cool. 5 spirit guides. One is Primordial Green Goddess, and one is Archangel Michael as a spirit guide. Interesting. Let's see. Last time you said.
Here's another mediumship question. Oop. I feel like I sometimes skip over questions. If I skip over a question,
Anna, that was a reading question, and if I did a reading for you and I felt that, then at that time that was a definite possibility. The way I always explain it is our futures are not set in stone; they're probabilities. And so when a psychic or a medium is tapping in to that future aspect, that's a probability that if things line up exactly as they are at that exact moment, that thing will come to pass or not to pass. But if we have free will, then it can always change. And directions can change. But I would be happy, if you want to message me, I can check my pendulum for you later. I love you, Celeste.
So for someone learning about spirituality, where do you suggest I start? Good question. I suggest you start in Tiffany's Facebook group. And then Tiffany also has a mentorship program where you start to learn how to... Tiffany, I'll let you take it away with that, actually.
Oh, goodness. In our mentor program, we work a lot on psychic abilities, on learning yourself, learning your extrasensory perception and how it works for you. And then we work on the basics from the ground up. So we start with learning yourself, learning different terminology, into grounding, into shielding, and then all the way up to where, if so inclined, students go on live with either myself or Susan for card readings and pendulums. I just did one last Sunday with a student of ours, Shell, and now she has her own.
Shell's in the audience.
I know.
I saw her.
Shell has her own business page, and she did her first card readings by herself yesterday. She's amazing. And oh, you know what? Christine is just starting in spirituality, I would suggest also, it depends on how just starting, but there are some great books out there that really, really, really help. And one of them is Eckhart Tolle. There's oh my gosh.
Power of Now?
Power of Now, thank you. Bam.
That's a great one, Power of Now.
Power of Now, that one. I'm feeling called to tell you that book.
That's a great book.
I can't recommend that book more. I mean, it's just a phenomenal read.
I think there's still stuff that I think about or talk about from that book 20 years later, and I haven't read that book in 20 years, actually. Well, it's that good.
Any of Dolores Cannon's work. Dolores Cannon, it gets a little bit deeper into stuff as far as like dimensions, as far as past lives go, as far as Ascension and indigos and light workers and star seeds and you name it. With quantum healing, hypnosis therapy, but it is any of Dolores Cannon's work is beautiful as well. Yeah, Tiffany called it blue appetite for Shayne.
True.
Well, Belinda, I'm very sorry that that your work environment is not the best place to be. I say you need to wear protective crystal like black tourmaline, and you need to wear shielding.
Yeah. I have shielding exercises on my YouTube channel. If you go to Terrestrial Vibes YouTube, you can type in a search there and just type shielding, and there'll be a couple different videos that pop up. Any of them are good. And there's also one called Empath Shielding that is for a guided one, so it has my crystal bowls behind it, and you can get guided in a meditation to shield yourself a little bit better. Alternatively,
I feel she's very much an empath, and that's where she's just gotten really sensitive to that vibe. And so, like, Shayne's empath shielding is phenomenal. I do it every day, all day.
Speaking of learning those techniques, you can learn them. I'm just going to plug myself a little bit. I have the energy clearing workshop coming up on October 9th. So if you would like to join in on that, it's a Zoom workshop with me. You get to learn all the energy clearing techniques and my philosophy on how I clear energy and how it works for me. Which is a bit simplified and streamlined, so you're not into a whole bunch of fluff, and there's not a bunch there. It's a 2-hour workshop. That's it, and the link is there in the Linktree stuff as well. So
it's totally amazing, and he just keeps getting better at it.
Tiffany tried to take it a second time.
That's always like, and y'all, and I've been doing energy work for, I don't know, over 12 years, but you know, there's always more to learn, and we never know it all. So getting a fresh outlet and learning his take on it was a great refresher, and I learned some amazing new techniques.
And I learned from Tiffany too. Tiffany's teaching me Master Reiki.
Absolutely.
So in case you didn't know, Tiffany also has a Reiki class that is done a little differently. It's more of a coaching Reiki class where it's done a little more properly, where you are not getting the weekend warrior type all-in-one level 1 and 2, and then here you go, here's your certificate thing. You end up learning with her for a couple months, right? And it's a wonderful way to work through Reiki, I think. Especially in this day and age where everything has to be online anyways, or there's a lot going on in the world and you're not going to see as many Reiki classes out there. And it's a great way to connect with people from all over as well, because there's a good little group of people in there already.
And we all grow such a bond together in our chats and stuff, and it's through Facebook groups. And so it's like how Modern Mystic is set up, like a learning environment. Well, I set up like a Reiki 1 that is all Reiki 1 stuff. And you get put in that group, and then we have a group chat. And so it's very, very one-on-one, very, very personal. And then and when we do some video chats as well. And then you go into the Reiki 2 once you have your Reiki 1 attunement. And then I've got several who are moving into master's level. And they're ready to go, and they're phenomenal. And I'm also board certified in Usui Ryoho, which is Eastern tradition out of Japan, and then Usui Shiki Ryoho, which is the Western tradition. And
Tiffany has all the Reikis, all of them.
I went next.
She's even got the national certification, so don't worry, she's super Reiki.
I am super Reiki. And they get a certificate. That's a board certified certificate at the end.
There you go. Next question is Ashley. It looks like Ashley's coming from my YouTube channel. Hi, Ashley. Thanks for joining us from the YouTubes. It's nice to see everybody from YouTube join for sure. If you haven't joined Tiffany's YouTube yet, head over and join Modern Mystic. The Modern Mystic, sorry, on YouTube.
Oh yeah, there was already a Modern Mystic.
There's already a Modern Mystic on YouTube. So, or just if you don't want to guess, head through the link tree and find her YouTube there. She needs a few more subscribers. She's gonna be uploading more stuff soon, and
I think I got like 35. Yes.
Are you at 35 now? Good. That's
good. I don't know, something like that.
As long as it's growing, one by one.
One by one, slowly.
So Ashley's question: if we are in love in our essence, what exactly are the spirits we do not want to be connecting with?
Good question.
So I'll take this one. When we're connecting with spirits that do not come with that love vibration as well, that can be very detrimental, because then we get things what we call there's different kinds of spirits out there that drain our energy and or try to influence us into bad decisions or most often it's a drain of energy, and most often it's going to be trying to instigate some sort of anger into you. So if you're connecting with a spirit and you're hearing a spirit and the spirit is telling you to do something or trying to get you angry, I would say that's not coming with love, right? So the best way to tell if you're talking to a spirit or you're connecting with a spirit is to say, I love you to that spirit. You have to feel that love back, and you will. Especially if you're in your love essence, right? If you say I love you and you send love to whatever spirit it is, and you get a grumble or something else back, or they scoff and they run away, you probably should book a 3-night healing with me, a clearing and healing, because that's the way spirit is there. But I've done one for Ashley before, so she's asking now what is out there trying to get in. Right.
I think she also might be at that because I know there's a lot of like psychics and mediums, that I've worked with that feel that if we are at a high vibration, like we're resonating at high, we have love in our heart space, we are centered, that any spirit we communicate that comes through to us is going to be at that same vibration. But I can't say it. We are light. And like a moth to a flame,
you attract it. You're a beacon of light.
So
Celeste says that all the time too. Beacon of light, and they just attract all, especially when you're new, right? And you don't have those boundaries set up, and you don't know how to handle it, things like that. For those types of questions as well, I definitely say head over and talk with Tiffany and join in the Modern Mystic chat.
Oh yeah, Ashley, we have a chat group in Modern Mystic where we there's always someone to answer questions. We're always supportive of each other. It's a great group. If you would be interested, I could totally add you to that chat.
Yeah. Contact Tiffany or myself if you would like to be added into the chat for Modern Mystic. Modern Mystic. We talk about all kinds of stuff in the chat, and we support each other for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that would explain it though, that about that when it comes to any kind of communication, always be in that place of love, like Ashley said, but always making sure that they're in that place of love too.
Yeah, they gotta come with the same vibration. Even if they're ancestors or even if they're loved ones that have passed, etc., they all have to come with that love. So if they're not come with that love, and they're coming and they're somebody like a loved one or grandma or something like that, and they're coming and they're what I call a dirty spirit. They haven't ascended through the light. They haven't been cleaned, and they haven't come back with that love. They're still kind of stuck, hanging around.
Yeah.
Earthbound, another way to call it, earthbound. So you can always ask in those instances, for them to be taken up to the light, ask for their loved ones to come, or ask for angels to come and take them, help them.
Crossed over, and they can always return back to you if it's for the highest good.
Yeah. They will come back for sure if it's if they're a loved one, or they're even just to tell you, hey, now I'm clean.
Well, and also,
and now I'm ascending. You'll get a message, right?
And we've got to remember that there are so many trickster type of energies out there and spirit out there where we may think that we're communicating with, grandma, but how do we really know that that's grandma unless we can truly verify it? And even in that case, if they're not coming at you from that position of love, if they're not coming at you with that vibration, then they need to go into the light, and you need to call them archangels to help you with that.
Yeah.
Oh, love, help, there are no dumb questions.
Nope, definitely no dumb questions. Nope.
Great show. Hi.
Yeah, first time watching, welcome. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. And I'm Shayne, and this is Tiffany, and we're answering spiritual Q&A.
Hi, Jeff. Susan and I have worked with Jeff. He is very He is on this awakening path. He is a male empath, and he is more
Good to
than
see.
goes.
Good to see. Notice that there's a lot more feminine energy that is awoke already, so we need to help our fellow
guys.
masculine energies come up through and raise their vibration as well. So he says here, although I have no idea how to use crystals. So there's a lot of different ways to use crystals, and so you can just sleep with them in your bed. One of the things you should mention about crystals is they should be cleared of energy. Right, so when you get a new crystal, or if you haven't cleared them before, you should put your crystals, say, in a windowsill overnight to clear in the moonlight, or out in the sunlight for a little bit, a couple hours to clear in the sunlight, or you could wash them.
A couple hours. Some don't like sun.
Some of them don't like sun, so you got to be careful. You also don't want to wash them if you know they dissolve in water. Some crystals dissolve in water.
If they end ITE, no water.
You can also rub them in salt. You can do a bunch of other stuff. You can use other crystals to clear them, like selenite. Selenite clears other crystals. So the first thing you should always do with a new crystal, clear your crystal. Second, where do you feel like you need to use the crystal? I think it's part of tapping into your intuition. If you feel like you want to, like keep it in your pocket all the time, or et cetera, et cetera. Some crystals are for protection. Some crystals are for healing. Some crystals are, but it doesn't mean that's the only thing they do. It just means that's one of the better things they do. Most crystals have multiple functions, especially clear quartz. When in doubt, get a clear quartz with a point. And what I mean by a point, I'll just show you my rose quartz right now with a point. Yeah, so a point, and most people don't know that the amount of faces on the point allows you to program the crystal to do that many different things. So this one here has 6 faces, so I could basically say, take that crystal, put it on my altar, pray and say this crystal, or send it energy and say this crystal needs to do protecting my house. And then I could also say this crystal also needs to protect my dog, or it also needs to do something else. You could always have it do. It also needs to heal me whenever I'm near it, or you could have it programmed to do anything, right? So do get in touch with your crystals. Do be personal with your crystals. Crystals are actually vibrating, which means they are living consciousness. In a way, right? So they're a way connected both to Mother Earth, and they vibrate so high that they connect to the higher realms specifically as well. So take your time with the crystals. There's lots of information about crystals out on the internet if you want to read up about, hey, this is good for this, hey, this is good for that. But using the crystal itself, placing it on parts of the body, meditating with it, sleeping with it, different ones like that. There's so many things you can do with crystals. I use them in like in my belt when I go out for protection, things like that. Yeah. You just, I don't know, wearing crystals on my wrist.
I mean, like, seriously, like crystals and like all over my house.
Crystals are a tool that helps spirit help us, basically. So if you're like thinking, oh, well, I'm strong spiritually, I don't need, a protective crystal because, and I used to think this too, ego was like, hey, I'm a strong protector, I got all this shielding up, I can do all these fancy shields and blah, blah, blah. Sure, I could do that, but A, it was costing me energy. B, it was costing my spirit helpers a lot of extra energy and effort as well. So it's just easier to just carry the crystal because the crystal does the work. So they're a tool. So make sure you're using them. Everybody should have some crystals in their house, at least like a black tourmaline or something protective, maybe a malachite. I like malachite for protection, in your pocket or something like that.
Black obsidian's a good one too.
Obsidian, yeah.
In like on Amazon or through like some Etsy sellers and stuff like that, you can always get like a good chakra set. And good chakra set, and I would suggest getting them raw, not tumbled, just because that raw still, well, some would say, and I honestly feel this too. I mean, if it's polished, it doesn't really take away so much of the energy of the crystal. But if you're using it for chakra healing, If it's raw, I'm like scattered over it. If it's raw, it's just that much more natural. And you get like a good chakra set with covers like all the bases, and you can really work with it.
Mm-hmm. Whew. We got quite a few questions here.
We do.
Next one is right under here. How about shadowing? I think they mean shadow work. And any advice for that? Shadow work or shadowing? I think that's what you mean.
Yeah, is that what you mean by shadowing, like shadow work, which is something we all got to do? I mean, in order to help our light shine its brightest, we have to go into those shadows within ourselves. We've got to heal those traumas. We've got to get to the basis of maybe what is triggering us in daily life. And until we heal those emotional wounds, we're not going to be able to grow with them energetically.
Yeah. Advice for that, journaling, talking things out.
I have a whole section on shadow work in the group under guide, like seriously, a whole section.
There's a whole section in the group. Yeah, head over to the Modern Mystic group. Do some reading. Do y'all have experiences? I like that. Y'all. I get to practice my y'all. Do y'all have experience in seeing with spiritual eyes, seeing things through another's actual eyes? I haven't done this myself. I've heard of this. I've heard of people doing it, especially in dreams. But I'll let Tiffany answer since she seems to be nodding her head quite a bit.
That is very much a clairvoyant ability, Jeannie. And so whenever we are with our spiritual eyes, I'm gathering you mean like in our mind's eye, like through our third eye and our mind's eye. And a lot of us, we do like dream traveling, where we will like actual travel in our dream state. And we can see through the perspective, the eyes of somebody else, or even ourselves in a past life. And also when it comes to those that we love, those that we're really connected to, sometimes we will connect to them and we will actually see maybe an experience that they've had where we're seeing it from their point of view, and we look down and it's not our body. All of a sudden we're in the body of like a guy and we're like, wow, what is this? And that's because you're seeing it through their eyes and you're connecting it through your third eye into their perspective through their physical. It's a type of telepathy in a way, and it's a type of astral travel combined.
So some would also call it kind of like remote viewing as well.
Very like a remote viewing, but remote viewing can also be like, yeah, it's a type of remote viewing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I always find astral travel, remote viewing, a lot of those are closely related to the same skill. And they're just a little bit different in the way they start and stop, or the way that they that the person experiences doing it. So.
And a lot of times, like in lucid dream state, whenever we learn lucid dreaming, we will actually experience so much more from that perspective of, maybe, seeing something from someone else's point of view through their eyes. And that's where it is just, how do I word that? Make sure you know how to come back to your own energy. So there's this silver cord in a lot of cultures, this is etheric cord that connects our spirit and energetic body, our etheric body to ourselves. And like in lucid dream states, whenever people are trained for lucid dreaming, even remote viewing, they're taught how to find that etheric cord, that silver cord, because that is what brings us back into ourselves, into our own awareness.
That goes right from the center of the earth, right through all of our chakras, through our center tube, all the way out the top of our head. They teach about it in the Eastern philosophies as well, and
every culture talks about
Qigong. I definitely learned it in Qigong. I use it quite a bit, and it connects us to our highest star, right? So, which is a lot of us call our higher self. I call it higher star usually. When I'm talking about energy work, I call it higher star. When I'm talking about consciousness, I call it higher self.
That was a really great question, though. And Jeannie, if you would like to talk more about it, please message me. I'm totally down.
Good question. Good question. Brandy Joe has a question here. Brandy Joe says, what do I need to know about learning to read cards? Now, cards are a tool, and Tiffany's really good at cards, but I just want to mention something about being a tool. So we're talking about a lot about intuition tonight, or learning and developing our psychic abilities, things like that.
Cards.
And cards are another one of those tools. So that's all I wanted to mention. So if you are using your intuition, the cards will help you develop your intuition.
Well, and as with like any tool, you know, it's used to enhance your own abilities and the way your abilities work. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's where, and kind of finding your own flavor of what kind of cards you are drawn to. Like some are very drawn to angel oracle cards. Some are more drawn to traditional tarot, like a Rider-Waite deck. Others more to the non-traditional tarot. Some are drawn to oracle cards. Some are drawn to Lenormand, which is a totally different system of card reading. And I'm a total nerd. I read all of them. But I started reading when I was 16, though. And my first deck was a Rider-Waite, a classic Rider-Waite tarot. And then from there, I started working with oracle cards. And I kind of just go back and forth depending on which is needed, because each one kind of has its own purpose or its own style. So learning cards is awesome. It's fun, and it helps you with your own abilities, and it helps you to grow for yourself. So like pull a daily card for yourself and get a feel for your cards daily, every single day for guidance. And always ask for your highest good.
Yeah, so wherever you feel like you need to, like which cards or whatever ones that you're drawn to, do those, right?
And we teach that in our psychic development mentoring class. Like I said earlier, students go on live with us. They do practice card readings in the chat on each other. And they just really, and I'm talking, some have never touched a deck of cards in their life. Are now to do readings together for tarot intuitively. So it's something that if you would be interested, you can message me. Or in the modern group, you can search tarot, and there's like, bam, tons of information. And there's a whole guide section on oracle cards, tarot, reading as well.
Tiffany, your phone is doing that thing. Tiffany, your phone is doing that thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, or was.
Thank you, Shell. I love you.
It's true. And then also Sabrina knows about Ogopogo, because Sabrina is from BC somewhere.
What? I never did.
Next question, Robin won the free 3-night healing, and we still haven't booked it. She's trying to find the right time to do it.
Girl,
from me on the Sundays, so it's worth booking. But Robin has a question, and just before, since I mentioned it, you can catch me again on Sunday coming up for 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Eastern for the Singing Bowl Sound Bath. The Sunday Singing Bowl Sound Bath, which is free on Facebook Live and on YouTube and all the places. And so join me on Sunday as well. I give away a free 3-night healing every Sunday. So Robin asks, how do you find your guides? And we did mention this a little bit earlier in the show. We were talking about guides, but we didn't say how do we find them. Do we know how to find them?
I found mine. Well, okay. This gets a little complicated.
So meditation?
Yes, meditation, and also thinking about when you were a child, when you were more open. Did you happen to talk to your angels? Did you happen to communicate with them? A lot of us do. And then if not, or if you can't remember, then meditation. There are some amazing guided meditations out there for connecting to your guides. And that's where finally I learned how to really connect to mine more on a personable level and get their names and see what they look like. And it was through a deep meditative state.
Yeah. Meditation. And sometimes, if you have trouble with meditation, guided meditation.
Or you can always talk to those of us that communicate with other guides. Like Celeste would be a good one to talk to. She's really great. I could help you with that, and we could see what's going on and see what guys you have around you.
Mm-hmm.
It's Ashley Ray.
Interesting question. Okay, next one down.
I'm looking. Ashley?
I think it's Ashley's question. When receiving guidance on future potentials, does the timeline that we are currently on change the guidance you receive? So as somebody who gives messages, and you mentioned earlier, I'm just going to hide it because it's big.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier when we were talking about giving readings to somebody that if you gave the reading at that particular time, that was one of the possibilities that could have happened. But you have free will, and you can change that at any given time by making a different decision or by straying off that path. Right? So when receiving guidance on, I'll just pop it up again. When receiving guidance on future potentials, does the timeline that we are currently on change the guidance you receive? So basically, if I'm on this path and you are helping me, or I'm getting guidance from my spirit, they're going to guide me on the path that I'm on. If I change my path to a different path, my timeline might change. I think I'm answering it. Am I answering it?
You're doing really well. It's like the butterfly effect. And we have to think about that we are, each of us, and we live in a cause and effect dimension. So we have to think that for every cause, there's an effect. For every action, there's a consequence. There's that law of consequence. And so whenever we are doing like a pinpoint reading, it is like at that time, that would be the most likely probable type of direction that a person or two people could go. Now, when you add in a second person stuff, then you're not only dealing with one person's cause and effect, law of consequence, you're also dealing with the second person. So you can
imagine how complicated it gets on the world scale.
Exactly.
We're all connected, right? So in an energetic way and a consciousness way.
And we also have to think about timelines in general, because we can broaden our perspective out. So, like, step back and try to look at, like, the most probable, most likely timeline for, and it's like sifting through or shifting through possibilities. And then zeroing in, okay, this would be the most probable, but then these other two things could happen as well.
Yeah, so that's when you go to any mediumship reading or anything like that, even when you're pulling your own cards, right? That's something for you in that moment. That's the message you probably need to hear that particular time.
Exactly.
And I always say for your highest good or for the highest good. So basically, is this good for me and is this good for everybody else? Right, the path that I'm on. So Spirit is going to try and put you on the best optimal path that you can be on from that point of view.
And that's where, like anytime I do readings, I always ask for the highest good or that person's highest good, because it helps to pinpoint what Spirit would try to navigate them towards if they continue following on that highest good timeline. Now, people have free will, so they can always deviate and then come back to that timeline, or it can shift completely, depending. But then that also comes into, I just had it. Oh, I lost it. Darn it. Hold on. I had something really good for that one. I lost it. It's gone. Poof.
It's gone. Poof. Poof. That happened to me last week's show. I was like,
oh, what was I thinking about?
Because there's a lot going on when we're live too, right? So here's one. Oh, you're gonna figure it out. I'll hide it. Go.
Let's say you go and get a reading, or let's say you go and or you do a reading yourself. Well, wouldn't that reading itself possibly change the potentialities of what can happen in a future timeline anyways, just by getting that reading? So then that's where we have to think about those type of moments as well. I know, wrap your brain around that.
My brain is going in circles. Speaking of, time shifting and things.
Oh, yes.
I would love to book a cleansing or a healing with Tiffany. So you do
Facebook user, who are you?
You just go through the, here I'm going to put it up again. Oh no, it's there. Go through the link tree for a Modern Mystic and book with Tiffany that way.
Go to my
That's
Facebook
how you book.
If
you would like to book with me, you can do the same thing through my link tree, and you have I have a booking button you can hit.
He's all fancy with his booking button. I need to get
My booking
more
button works.
I need to be more fancy.
Yeah. Audrey has a good question again. I've always been drawn to angels. She collects angels, I'm assuming like figurines and things. Does that mean anything? It means you probably have lots of angels around you, Audrey.
Or she's also an earth angel, which is something I feel that she could be. And so she resonates with angelic. She resonates with that angelic level. Kind of like those that have a lot of fae energy around them, typically being collecting fae since they were children. Those that love dragons, a lot of times have been collecting dragons.
Have lots of dragons around them. So, definitely it means you're connected with angels. So look into that, tap into that on your spiritual side of things, and do some meditation on it. Maybe get some angelite crystals.
Oh yes.
Angelite. Or celestite.
Celestite, angelite. Mine is like this really cool cluster. It's not. This camera is not doing it justice. It's a beautiful blue.
Yeah, you have all those little tiny crystals too.
Yeah, this one's got tons of little crystals in here. It's a cluster.
So earlier in the show, we had a Facebook user mention shadowing, and this is what he meant, or a she. No, I mean like having an energy shadowing your true energy, like masking. So if you feel that is going on, and you can feel that because you're empathic, that's what's happening is you have an attachment. It could be...
And a hitchhiker.
A hitchhiker, an attachment, a spirit that's not supposed to be there. Or, it could even be a shard of somebody, and when I say shard, it's like a piece of somebody that's broken off, or it could even be a construct or something like that, where somebody just hates you that much that they've created the shadow on you.
Oh, it's called, manifested it.
Yeah, people can manifest that stuff.
Oh, God.
So if you're hating on people, I'd suggest you stop, because that's a lot of bad karma, man. You're sending a lot of negative energy at people. Eventually, that negative energy condenses into something. So most likely, it's something not that specific. More like you just have and I mentioned earlier, energy drains, something that can drain your energy as well, like a succubus or an incubus. Succubus is the female version, incubus is the male version or the masculine version of that, and they just latch on and they drain your energy, and that's what their job is, and they send that energy to their handler or whatever. I call them handlers. And for you, I would suggest a 3-night healing with myself. Definitely if you have energies that are not supposed to be there, and shadowing and dark energies and things like that, a 3-night healing with me. I clear everything the first night. Second night we reconstruct. Third night is like more powerful. Of the energy healing part of it. But the first part is the clearing, and for sure... Another thing you can do is also a house clearing. So make sure your house and your space is clear, and I also offer that as a remote service on in my booking link. So I would suggest that.
They also have almost like a haunting type of experience going on, and in that case, they definitely need to do that house clearing aspect as well.
Yeah, you're tapping in.
I didn't mean to. And they can also. Message me if you want to. We could do a Reiki healing session, and we can help clear up that auric field a little bit, because over time the auric field does get affected with hair, cold, things, and it hooks, cords, feathers, attachments, and you've got to have a healthy auric field, because otherwise Shayne knows, like once you remove something, if it's not the initial problem that allowed it to attach is not fixed, then it will come right back. Like
it's like a wound that's not healed, and you're just gonna get something else stuck to it. So definitely, when you get things removed, you have to do the healing part afterwards. That's why I do a 3-night with 3-night healing, which is long distance and pretty passive on the recipient's end. And Spirit does a lot of helping as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of Spirit helpers, I got some pretty good Spirit helpers, and I have to thank them.
They really
because they help me a lot.
Out. Like, you need to reach out. We don't know your name, so you'll have to remind us who you are because it just shows up as Facebook user. But definitely reach out to either Shayne and myself or email. But definitely reach out. Definitely
reach out. Speaking of that, if it's something that it's a very, very cheap service, I don't charge a lot for it. If you can't afford it, I still don't turn away people. Just tell me your situation. And I'm sure Tiffany's the same way. She loves to help people.
For me.
Tiffany, I got a question for you. Well, actually, Ashley Ray has a question for you. How do you know if you're a witch? Do you feel like you want to be a witch? Because if you feel like you want to be a witch, you're probably a witch.
I didn't realize I didn't realize that I would. Okay, how do I word this? All right. I didn't realize that I would be classified as a witch until, like, I don't know, years back, because I just always did things that were witchy without realizing that it was witchy because of my own past lives, because of my own soul guidance. And then one day I was like reading something and it was like, you might be a witch if, and I was just like, well, I had like all
check
of them.
Check this.
Check. So actually asking that question kind of told me that, if you feel like you might be a witch, you might be, then if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, then it's probably a duck.
It's probably a duck.
Or you're a witch like me. And it still took me a long time to even embrace the term because of such strong dogma that have been programmed into me. And I finally just stepped into that term and, really started going more public about most of like what I do and who I am, even, on my own Facebook page, just because there is so much dogma around it.
Yeah. There is quite a bit, but that's changing. There's so many more witches out there nowadays. There's so many more connecting together through Facebook. Is like a big witchy community for sure.
Yes.
There's witches of TikTok. Tiffany's part of TikTok, so head over and join her TikTok as well. She does some awesome card pulls on TikTok that are fun to listen to and have great messages. I just started my TikTok, so you can follow me as well. I put on the short videos up on there as well. Marzan says, I learned a lot from animal signs. So I respect every animal abilities. It's true. Animals have such a strong spirit. If you have animals in your home, like pets and things like that, they are helping you spiritually as well. So I just wanted to point that out because we were talking about animals.
Animal empath.
Animal empaths.
Animal empaths connect so much and resonate so much that they almost have like a telepathic ability with animals.
Mm-hmm. Some are able to receive healing from animals too. We went. Celeste actually went to get healed from horses. Oh, Tiffany is frozen.
No, not. I was smiling.
No, you're frozen. You were bloxy and frozen. Yeah. Oh no. Clear it again. No gremlins allowed in the internet. We'll clear it. Sabrina says she was one of the lucky winners of my 3-night healing. It was fantastic. Book in as soon as you can. It's true. And Robin has won the last 3-night healings, and she is here as well. So if you would like to win the next 3-night healing, join me on Sunday. That's coming up on Sunday.
You got this really cool number.
Yeah, you guys pick a number, and then whoever wins, wins.
Who gets closest to it?
When a psychic says something will never happen, how do they know? I mean, if things can shift. So you might be hearing things like, hey, this will never happen because I'm a psychic. I don't know. Is that what they're saying? I think so.
Most psychics will tell you that that's still a probability, but there is, like, it could still be, like, I'm not one to tell someone, like, that will never happen, okay? Because there's always possibilities.
There's always a chance that things can change. And as soon as you change a decision, like we were talking about earlier, as soon as you make a different decision or you change the path you're on, everything goes out the window. So even on a global scale, even if we're talking about Nostradamus, or we're talking about Edgar Cayce, or we're talking about things change on a global scale. Some things have already changed that have been delayed, or timelines have been changed, things like that. Some things have come true, and you're like, oh wow, that's pretty neat. But
yeah, I love Edgar Cayce stuff. Some of the best work, Edgar Cayce, when it comes to teaching about the Akashic record and the Akashic field. But it would kind of depend. Like, I would just take, something like that, like you said, like, with a grain of salt, and then check in with yourself. Like, does that resonate with you? How do you feel about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Ashley was responding to you, though, when you were talking about witching, and she said her grandmother practiced witchcraft, and she feels like she is, and she does witchy things, but not in bad ways. I don't think I've met very many witches who do bad witchy things.
Why would witches do things in bad ways?
Yeah.
Like,
I just wanted to point that out as well.
That's a misconception. Witches are actually healers, and that's where, for the longest time, I was doing energy work. I was doing medicine, plant medicine. I was doing candle spells without even realizing that, because it's about the intention, and it's about manifesting in the 3D reality through intention. Like, most witches, it's not about, like, we're doing it for healing and blessing and growth and you name it. It's not like we're hexing and swinging around hexes and stuff. That would be a minority. And for those people, I would say just be careful, because karma is real, and karma can be a big, so
there's that whole threefold rule too, right?
And it's following a wicked path.
The whole thing, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. So whatever you send out, if it's love, you're going to get threefold love back, right? And that's the way you kind of want it to be. But if you're sending out something else and you're doing it with that negative intent,
well, in the Wiccan read,
that's a choice that you make.
Exactly. And that's where
so you should be prepared for the
repercussions.
Repercussions. I can never say that in English. The French word pops in my head. Récompense. So I'm like, and then you fill it in for me. So thank you. We're talking about the shadowing. Celeste had something good to say here. I'm just trying to get higher than Celeste's writing, because there's quite a bit. She's seen it where someone imprints on someone and they think the personality or fears, etc., are coming from the person they have imprinted. Mothers and lovers do that a lot, especially if overprotective. So if you were a lover in a past life and it was a really strong connection, and then let's say on their deathbed they said they'd never leave you or something like that, that's like a spell. That's like a strong thing in the universe, and that could lead them to stay and not go to the light. They can stay in what I call the umbral, or here on as an earthbound, and basically chase you around for millennia until they find your spirit again and then connect to you. And they can imprint on you because that connection is so strong. And you can even feel that, that there's a love there or something else, but that spirit is technically a little dirty. So, because it's been floating around without going and getting cleaned up in, the next levels in the light.
Okay. Along with kind of like a hitchhiker scenario. Like, let's say that I've seen this in real life. Let's say that someone finds a sibling that has died, and they invite that sibling to live the rest of their life through them. Bam! Right there, free will, invitation. That sibling's not crossing over, that sibling is staying stuck, and the more heavy that they get in the umbral, or on this side of things, the more it's going to shadow and drag down the person that invited them to. So it's like an attachment.
It's like an attachment, yeah. Others read the mother energy instead of the child because of the imprint. So when you do a reading on somebody who has that you might be picking up that anger of the mother, or you might be picking up that loss of the lover, right? That yearning, or that you might be picking up that stuff imprinted on the person because of that connection from the spirit that's attached, right? So if you need to get rid of attachments that are not good for you, energy clearing workshop that I offer, or the Pranic Healing, I'll do it for you. Learn to do it yourself, or I'll do it for you, one or the other.
Contact Shayne.
Yeah. What can we burn around our dogs via candles, oils, sticks, and things like that? So we have a lot of pets here at our house. And Tiffany also has quite a few pets. So is there anything that you know of that specifically they should not have smelled around them for allergies? If your dog has any sort of allergies, I would probably suggest you don't burn too much smoke around them.
Yeah. I know there's you got to be careful with eucalyptus. And oil and stuff like that. Just Google
Google's your friend.
Google pet-friendly plants. There's a list of household plants, y'all. I didn't realize that lilies and stuff were actually deadly to cats. And I had a whole bunch of lilies out in the front pot that my cats would just rub on. And if they were ingested it could have caused them to go into basically a fever, and their liver would come down. And I was like,
no, you don't want that. It's the same for, there's a lot of plants, spider plants are one that cats can't eat because cats get hallucinogenic and it's really, really sick.
A good sage is usually pretty good. So sage, from what I brought and understood, sage is non-toxic. Unless we're talking about birds, and birds have these parasitic phase. So you wouldn't really want to smudge your bird.
Ours are okay. We don't put the smoke right in their cage or anything, but I smudge around the cage, Candles, I suggest always have candles in a cup or a glass or something that protects them, just like that. Especially because if you have cats like to knock things over.
Keep them
Cats like to get up on your altar and tip things around, so make sure it's somewhere where your cats can't get to. That's what I think.
Unless
for safety.
You're sitting there monitoring your candle. I just burnt some candles during this live. I need to light another one. And but there are taper candles that are right in front of me the entire time. I'm not wandering off to where my cat here knock it over.
We use a lot of tea lights here, tea light candles, and we place them inside of glass candle holders and things like that are taller and safer.
Did you know that onions are poisonous to dogs too?
Yeah, you shouldn't feed them garlic, onions, chocolate. There's quite a few things. Of course, Google is your friend with cats and dogs and that sort of thing. We are not super experts on it, but I do know that most of the stuff that I've used, like the Palo Santo, is okay. Most of it's good.
Lavender.
Most of the common stuff.
Rosemary is pretty safe. Be careful with stuff that's minty or a hot type of essential oil or something like that, because that can really
go. Them. That's what Celeste was just saying. Just watch essential oils because they are highly concentrated and our pet helpers are sensitive.
Exactly.
And she thought of eucalyptus right away. She says, no raisins as well. We just learned that. I almost gave Freya a raisin.
I did not know that one either.
No raisins or grapes for dogs. That's another one. But that's not a spiritual topic. That's a dog topic. But we all love our dogs.
Interesting. Yeah.
And she also says she sure did love her healing horse friend. So if you get a chance to be healed with Reiki horses that do that kind of thing, try it. They can do things that we can't do. She said she felt like the horse eating the energy out of her. It was like an interesting thing.
I've had horses try to eat my hair. Does that count?
Yep. Any advice or ways to help heal marriage from a spiritual standpoint, or what are we talking about here? Because I'm not a marriage counselor, unfortunately. But from a spiritual standpoint, meditation on both parties' parts. I don't know. Communication, journaling, all the usual stuff about doing your ascension would work with both partners. So that's, I don't know, that one's kind of a broad question.
Yeah, that one's like really, really big. Like,
have you ever heard of Gundela the Witch? I have not. Gundela the Witch. Have
don't make me Google this. I'm going back to.
No Googling on the air. We'll Google that later. Actually, you have to tell us about Gundela the Witch, or send us a link in the chat, and we'll check it out. The word witch is just a connotation. It's true. It's, we could say feminine, divine feminine healer lady.
Exactly.
Right. There's a lot of male witches as well.
Well, and to me, it was like stepping into owning that term and stepping into that type of feminine that needed to be healed, that divine feminine aspect of the witch, the healer, the misunderstood, the person who did that, and healing that trauma that's been done over time to become the yourself.
Dun, dun. Here's a long question to read, but it's the next one down. My grand aunt was a psychic medium through spiritual writing. That's a neat one, where you write.
Oh yeah, automatic writing.
Automatic writing. I've read quite a few books done that way.
I
had another great aunt that had to touch an item to call them for connection. Why is there a gift so different, even though they're basically doing the same thing? Which is a good question.
But they're not.
They're not doing the same thing. One is clairsentient, so one is feeling from the object and getting that.
Psychometry.
Yeah. Was that called tachometry?
Psychometry.
Okay. Psychometry.
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 It's like psychometry. It's when I first really started tapping back into myself, I realized that I've read objects in the history of objects my whole life by touch. And that's just a type of clairsentience, unless they're getting psychic visions from it or things like that. That would be very. But like the psychic medium through spiritual writing is dealing with spirit, and the one that is getting information by touching, that is like using clairsentience or getting information in a different way, in two different kinds of abilities.
True, it is two different kinds of abilities. It's two different vibrations of doing it, and everybody's different. Like we mentioned that actually way back at the beginning of the show. Everybody's different when they receive their clairs, when they receive their psychic abilities, when they receive their intuition. It just happens a little bit different. Why? Because everybody's vibration is different, right? So, and that includes the different ways that we interpret and.
Well, their sixth senses were different. So, like, that's where, they could, and they would get different information, too, based on what it was they were reading.
Yep.
I hope that helps. If not, Leanne, we can clarify more.
Oh, Pam. I love Pam.
I love Pam so much.
Pam has joined us in our weekly Wednesday healing circle, which anybody can join. There's links on Celeste and my Facebook pages. I don't know if I shared it on yours earlier today or not. but it's a Wednesday healing circle. We get together and we heal each other via, Reiki, energy healing, as a group. And so you can either send or receive, and it's all free. And it's just us as a group sending a little love to each other, whoever needs it that day. And it happens twice on Wednesday, one in the morning, one in the evening. Head over to Terrestrial Vibes page or Celeste page. Maybe she can post a link.
And I'll share a link on somewhere. Modern Mystic as well later. I share Healer Circle like pretty much every week. And
you'll find it if you scroll.
Yeah, I'll share it again.
Yeah. Leanne says she couldn't hear our question because of her phone service. Well, hopefully you can watch it later and get your answer.
I wonder.
She's like, you must be answering my question because you're frozen on my end. Oh, I wonder why it does that.
Leanne, go back and listen to it on the playback.
Yeah, Celeste shared it on Mystic earlier, so. And Ashley says, yes, we're all unique in our own way.
Absolutely.
I agree. So, Tiffany, it looks like we've run out of questions, and guess what? I'm tired.
Me too. I'm going to get tired too.
So the timing is probably perfect because I was going to say, I think we've been on for about an hour and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
Time to let ourselves say goodbye. So just to reiterate a couple things before we go, you can find Tiffany's stuff at the link tree in the description of the video, and where she offers all kinds of stuff. Definitely join the Facebook groups that she has because they are the most informative and educational groups for spirituality that I know of on Facebook. And join my group for more community and more fun. And next time you're probably going to see Tiffany probably tomorrow night doing some readings. Mm-hmm. We think maybe she will.
Yeah. Planning on it.
And Sunday, already pre-booked every Sunday, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Eastern, is the Sunday Singing Bowl Sound Bath with myself, where you could win one of those 3-night healings that we were talking about in the show. So I'd like to thank everybody.
And light language. Planning on doing some tomorrow night, some reading, light language.
Light language with healing and tarot and stuff with Tiffany and Celeste. So, and I think that'll be the first time they've actually done something like this together. So, should be interesting. Definitely head over and check that out tomorrow night. Watch for it to come live on Facebook and the YouTubes. And yeah, thank you everybody for joining.
And thank y'all for the great questions, because y'all are the ones that make this show. Y'all are the ones that provide the questions, and y'all are the backbone of it. So we thank you.
Exactly. It doesn't happen without you guys, so thank you so much for helping this show last an hour and a half. Because there's just one question, it wouldn't be a long show. So thank you all so much, and thank you all for sharing and caring, and we love you, and we hope to see you in the near future.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.